Hi there, I'm Linda K. Gifford. I'm back, and today's trigger is self-doubt. So we're working our way through the trigger guide. For those who are new here, I'm a survivor of many years of childhood sexual abuse. I also am a super joyous, happy person with a great life, a great business, feelgoodfairtrade.com. We're approaching our 4th anniversary online selling women artisan entrepreneur products. I also have recently founded the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, and the goal is to be providing transportation to safe houses and shelters for those in immediate crisis. And of course, expanding that into a bigger network of places to go. There's never been more need than there is now. I've also been writing a book, so it's called Self-Talk, My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Abuse. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about the title, Self-Talk, because I was talking with a publicist a couple weeks ago, and he asked me in a 2-hour interview to explain where self-talk came from. And so I'm going to do that. Not right this very second. I'm going to do that. Basically today, we're going to continue on the theme of what compartmentalization is, how it's something that many people use and we think of in a destructive manner, but that it's actually something that us sufferers of PTSD from various, not just sexual abuse survivors, but any kind of PTSD sufferers. I don't like that term, and I don't like victim. So survivor's the best thing, but I don't like that either, because survivors, it's misleading in the sense that you think, basically, there's no survivor graduation day. Surviving is something you're going to do. You're going to do it every day. Whatever form of PTSD you have, you're going to survive every day. And that can feel daunting and challenging, and some people give up on this life, and it's just breaks my heart. I'm a life coach. I talk to a lot of people, and I hear a lot of things and a lot of suffering. And the biggest deal about it that I'm seeing, and this sounds harsh, but it's that people accept being hurt by others. And I talked about this at length last week, or the week I took last week off actually. But the week before, we talked at length about seeing your reflection in someone else's eyes, trying to be what they want you to be, instead of really seeing into them and deciding if they are what you want, and that's what's important. So we're going to continue branching off of there. And in particular, as we started on in my last live stream a couple days ago, I'm going to kind of dissect the concept of compartmentalization. This is something that everybody does. Everybody does it to different degrees. Those who have had to endure long-term abuse, fearful, something that made you fear, something that you didn't know when an end would come, that kind of abuse. And it comes in many forms. That's why I don't want to specify. For me, it was childhood sexual abuse. It was being groomed into being somebody's child mistress, and hating it, and hating myself, and hating God, and having to examine all these concepts. It's a lot. It was a lot to deal with. And I learned to go away. So at the extreme end of compartmentalization is the ability to create alters, alter selves. Some people think that sounds really whacked, but believe it or not, it's not even considered an illness in the medical profession. Having alters is actually generally people with higher intelligence, higher measured IQs, coping abilities in severely abusive situations or stressful. This goes for soldiers, warriors, domestic, childhood abuse, sexual abuse, whatever. People who learn to make somebody who can take it and put that away tend to lead a more normal life that can go on and get better, or it can spiral into suicide and things like that when these buried emotions come up. And my goal is to make sure that those buried emotions don't come up and cause you or someone you love to do something final and stupid, because really we can get a grip and we can realize that I'm going to turn it on its tail. I'm going to turn it on its tail. And yes, I see a therapist. Yes, I'm not just like clueless. I'm making this shit up completely. But I've manifested this in my own life. I've turned my life around, and it took 30 years to do it. But like I said, you don't graduate. It's a process. It's a process. And there are certain things that I just realize I literally do every day in writing this book and getting things on paper. And the more I do these live streams and talk, I realize this is stuff I do every day, and it's easy and it works across the board and it can work for other people, and it is. So I just want to share that with you. And so my confession of the day, today's trigger is I have allowed myself to feel self-doubt. Not a shocking revelation, I guess, because probably everybody listening to this feels self-doubt sometimes. And it doesn't even matter what kind of self-doubt I have felt. I feel a lot of kinds of self-doubt. I'm trying to get a struggling business off the ground. I'm trying to get a maiden rescue service off the ground. I'm in a long-distance relationship, a state away. I'm trying to get my car fixed. Come on, insurance company. You're causing some delays. For need of photographs of the differential, which is completely encased in and housed inside of something, and you can't get photographs of it. And this is frustrating stuff. So, as well as the normal stressors that get me, things like normal love scenes on TV shows, the kind that like are rated for my child to watch. I can't even look at them. They give me the heebie-jeebies. You know, I've got all these weird quirks. But I have learned that the biggest, most important thing I can do is not add them together, not add the stressors together. So you compartmentalize, just like when you, as a PTSD survivor, in some way or another, I'm not saying you had an altar person that's named something like that. I didn't. My altars, I call them altars, but it's really just, I feel a different type of persona come over me. It's like a coat that I take out of a closet and put on and wear, and it makes me a good salesperson when I need to be a salesperson, which I hated but I was good at, and it makes me a good employee because I get it done. Whatever, I know how to wear the cloak I take out of the closet. I can compartmentalize these things. You can do this for good and bad. This is a skill that many of us, back to the top, PTSD survivors, kind of think of it in a bad way, especially if you've gone to the extreme of blacking out and not knowing where you are when you wake up and stuff like that. been there. Yeah, you think of it as negative, but it's also when you give it conscious thought and you're using it as a conscious tool, take that ability to just like stop, think about what you need to do, think about who can do that, and be that person, right? So this is one of the steps in my From Trigger to Happy, Trigger Happy, How to Get From Trigger to Happy book, which it's just kind of a guide. It's just a short guide that's like a pocket guide. Here's what to do every day. It's not affirmations, but it's a do guide. It's a do it guide. And I'm pretty excited about it, really. And so this is really important to me. And I'm going to keep this short. I'm going to kind of keep these in smaller 10 to 20 minute bites instead of my 40 to hour and a half long talks. I just want you to take this superpower within you, this ability to isolate from something that would stop you and do anyway. Soldiers do it, PTSD survivors of any kind do it, sexual abuse survivors do it just by walking down the goddamn street every day. You know, I've said before, being a survivor of childhood sexual abuse is like carrying a child through a minefield every day. So now we take this and we make it our superpower because we give it conscious thought. We don't let it wash over us and take us away anymore. We give it conscious thought. We say, hey, I'm going to wear you. And you do. Now, be careful because you don't want to cross lines to where you're not being your authentic self with the people that matter or in anything. I'm not saying to not be your authentic self and to role play to the extreme. I'm saying file away that which does not suit you now and pull it out on a day and at a time when it does. You don't have to deal with everything all at once. You have to deal with what you have to deal with right now. Make that priority. File everything else on the shelf, not too far away. Don't bury it. Don't forget about it. Don't neglect it. You don't want to be that person either. Just deal one thing at a time. Don't let it... PTSD survivors, the people I talk to, it seems like they drift. And I get this because I used to do this. You start talking and you're like, well, I've got this in my bills and whatever, and then my relationship and blah, 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 and this and blah, 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 and I miss so-and-so and the death and the grief. And it's just like boom, boom, boom. And they never stop and like deal with any of it. But most of those people also, I've discovered, have this ability to role play at work or role play at church or in their family. So I'm just saying, take that ability and use it for your own good instead of your own evil. And you can learn to manifest the things in life that you want. Because if you cloud your mind with thoughts of things that could go wrong, things that, like, that's what self-talk. And I started back to the very top, and I'm going to end this. That's why I named it self-talk, because I literally still do this. I still slip into this thing where it's like, I had this, the beginning of my book, it's posted on this Facebook page, but it starts something like, you know, you dirty little girl, you're a filthy little girl, no one will ever love you, no one will ever love you, you know, I hate you, God, I hate, just this self-talk. This just loop and trying to kick it out of my mind has been the hardest thing in my entire life. And it led to all of this. It led to my book. It led to this trigger guide, because in talking to people and trying to give people ask me questions, how do I do this? And I'm like, I figured it out. It's in From Trigger to Happy. So coming soon, please support the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund Right now it's on Facebook and GoFundMe. I'm still awaiting the 501c3 tax exempt status. Evidently it takes a while for that stuff to go through. But for God's sakes, it's okay to doubt yourself. I doubted myself for a while today, and it's like, you know what? It's not that I don't deserve being doubted. It's not that I'm absolutely sure everything's going to work out the way I want it to. It's just wasted time. So I'm choosing to file that away. I'm choosing to take that self-doubt, put it on a shelf, because I got shit to do. Go get shit to do. And you don't have to wait to feel okay to be okay. And that's like number, I think 5. I might move them around, but right now that's the number 5 step in daily happiness. Don't wait to feel okay to be okay. Get out there, manifest your reality, reject the thoughts. You know, if there's something that's negative, but you can't get rid of it because you're going to have to deal with it eventually, or you're thinking about it, it's in your head. Someone told me, oh, that's in your head. I'm like, guess what? That's a very real place. You know that in your head is a very real place, but you can manage that shit. You can file it. Take your extreme compartmentalization skills, file that shit, okay? And I'll talk to you in a couple days.